What is up, podheads? Tony here with the Podio Slate podcast. We are back with another episode. I am joined by Anthony tonight. And, you know, nights like tonight are the reason that we do this. We get to find cool bands, reach out to cool bands, talk to cool bands. Like, man, I'm always on a high after a conversation like this, and tonight's no different.
Anthony here. Well, if you've listened to us, you know we're in our late 30s. In our late teens, we were literally doing the same thing we're doing tonight, but we promoted the bands we love via a way message in our
Yep.
What was it a profile? Is that what they called it?
AOL Instant Messenger, our profile.
AOL Instant Messenger profile. Like, I would put bands that I discovered on, how did we discover bands? Liner notes, like friends, opening bands, whatever.
Walking into Bull Moose and they're playing it. Yeah. A local record store. Yeah. Yep.
And you did everything. Like, I remember taking pride. Like, I missed, this is full disclosure here, I missed our senior prom to promote the Receiving End of Sirens. The night of our senior prom, I was stapling Receiving End of Sirens flyers around the old port in Portland, Maine.
So I went to our senior prom, and I would rather have done what you did. Looking back on it, especially today, like what we do now, and that story sounds like way more fun to me.
I remember like being out there, I'm like, I'm by myself, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
I mean, you were doing what you loved, and obviously we still love it because we're still doing it today, but we get to talk to two really cool individuals tonight. People, a band that if you've followed our socials at all, we posted a story about them a couple weeks ago. The band Nevermind, NVM. We had Stino, Austin, and Mickey from the band Nevermind tonight, and they were phenomenal.
Totally. Yeah, like when you reach out to a band, you don't know, honestly, you don't know where they're at. Like, are they even looking to talk with anyone? Are they looking to promote their band? Are they, you just don't know. And they were down. And I mean, you're going to find out in the next hour. Like, we had a great time. Like, it was guys just that never met, just hanging out at the bar, really. I mean, that's what it was.
Nerds at the bar, as Nate always says, right? we were just doing what we do. We were talking about music that we liked, whether it be them or their influences. Stino talking about getting to see The Cure recently, and I know Nate saw The Cure not that long ago. Man, like, this is why we do it. Finding cool music, talking to people that make that cool music, and having them be awesome. Like, that was really a good time.
Yeah, you vibe with something, you hit them up, and you just chat. You literally make it happen. And I don't think we'll play music on this podcast, but go listen to them. Find them. They're at NVM worldwide on Instagram. They're on Spotify. They're everywhere. They're on Neon Bloodbath Records. They get vinyl pressed. Be like us. Check them out. Order the vinyl. Love it. Post about it. Scream from the rooftops. Have them on your podcast. Go for it.
Do it all. Yeah. We're going to get into it right now with Austin and Mickey. Cool. Well, we are here with Austin, Stino, and Mickey of the band Nevermind. How you guys doing?
Good. Awesome. What's up? How are you guys?
Great.
Doing good. This is great.
So we found you guys in a very 2023 way, which we've done a few times in this podcast, where we've been able to, hear something out of the blue. Maybe it's been recommended to us on Spotify, or it's not your typical, I mean, we're a little older. We got stuff on MTV or a friend, or we found a sampler. That's the way we used to find music. Now we're just kind of listening to a band we like on Spotify, and then their CD ends or their record ends, and then you guys pop up, and I'm like, ooh, it was Juggling Blade.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right, I like this. I sent it to the group text immediately. And then I think Anthony and I have been listening to you guys pretty much nonstop for about, 2-3 weeks now?
Yeah, all day.
Yeah.
Literally all day. That's all I listen to. So if you see a spike in your numbers, it's from us.
That's from Maine. Yeah. So come to Maine. Come play in Portland.
No, we're all for the random spikes and playlists, and because I mean, we're not like huge by any means, but there'll be like a month or so where it's like kind of dead. It's just kind of like our regular like listener base, and then out of nowhere, like we'll have like a month where it's just insane. So there's like an algorithm like thing going on. So that new age way of like finding music, I mean, praise be it, because I mean, I don't even know where we would be if there wasn't like that going for us. Yeah.
It is random. Like we were chatting with Joey from Koyo, and he was talking about, I think this band, was it Wasting Time, or there's some band that has never played a show that somehow landed on all the playlists or whatever, and they have a 250,000 listeners without playing a goddamn show. So it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Do they have a TikTok or something?
That's probably what it is.
Yeah. Gonna get you on TikTok, guys. You on TikTok? We'll share that.
We were, and then we deleted it after like 2 posts.
Yeah. It didn't feel, I don't know, true. It felt gimmicky. It was weird. I don't like keeping up on that and being glued to my like screen and shit. It's just, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, and you almost have to with that stuff.
Oh
like if you post daily, they'll reward you. It's all this.
Yeah,
no one knows the algorithm, but
all or nothing when it comes to that shit.
Yeah.
We just don't have time for that.
It's hard to, especially if you're like trying to just create music or play shows. I mean, we're just trying to do this, have these conversations, but at the same time, we want people to hear them. So you got to promote them everywhere you can. And that's, I mean, again, that's 2023, right? So being busy on that aspect of things is both difficult and something you got to do sometimes.
Well, not only that, I feel like it like strangely can influence like the way you choose to write your music, because you're thinking of this secondary thing. You know, we already are like thinking about like how else is it going to do on Spotify and all these streaming sites, but like TikTok and all that is just next level. Like you're just thinking like, and maybe the chorus should hit sooner, or maybe like, you know, we need to be more like less heavy, or, you know, less screamy so it can appeal to more people on TikTok or whatever. But I always like, I'm weird about that. Maybe some people don't view it the same, but like that's another weird thing in my head. I'm like, I got to stay away from this, man.
Well, I think people are starting to kind of like get in that mindset, because I think what qualifies as a stream of the song has to be 30 seconds or a minute. So like that absolutely shapes how people, like, cause I think we had someone who had a 28-second song and it didn't count as a stream, even if someone finished the song.
Yeah.
Like, and you listen to that 7 times, you get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's an interesting world that we live in for sure. But the good thing is we get to find people like you guys. And that's what we did. We just kind of went backwards and listened to everything that we get our hands on through the digital medium. And we're pretty stoked to be able to talk to you guys. It was just like, I think it was a Saturday morning a couple weeks ago, I storied the new EP and said, if you haven't heard of these guys, check them out. And you guys saw it. And I was like, want to come on? Like, let's do this.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's crazy. I used to find my music through, I'm not as old as you guys, I'm 28, but are you guys like 32, 30?
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Oh,
32.
I love that.
Yeah. No, I'm 38.
Okay. So yeah, finding my music on Headbangers Ball.
Oh yeah.
Begging my mom to buy me an iTunes card to buy the top 5 songs on iTunes without hearing anything past 20 seconds or whatever.
Was this the Josta era? Like that era?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lamb of God and Whitechapel.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is reminiscent of like, it just brings up LimeWire. I was like a LimeWire kid. I mean, take me to jail. Those things were better than they are now.
Allegedly. You allegedly used LimeWire.
No, but I mean,
we had Napster. We lived the Napster days, so.
Oh shit. Okay. So y'all should be sued then.
Yeah, Lars has already come after us. Don't worry.
He's pissed. He's still pissed. He wrote a new album about it.
Yeah, no. We all know what's up. I mean, things have definitely changed. The streaming world is so crazy.
So I got to ask, what's you guys are from? It's Salt Lake City, right? The greater like that area.
Yeah, we're based in Salt Lake City. Currently, I mean, he's lived down here in St. George, which is kind of more southern Utah. And I've kind of just been here, there, everywhere. But right now, just currently in southern Utah, kind of hanging out in this area.
Yeah, I grew up in Salt Lake most of my life, playing in hardcore bands out there, still playing like 3 hardcore bands out there, and then moved to St. George. It's like 2 hours from Vegas, 4 hours from Salt Lake. For college, graphic design, someone not even doing that. But that's where I met him. He worked at the coffee shop there, and I had some tattoos, and he had some. I'm like, yo, I play music.
I'm telling you, the tattoos is a heck of an icebreaker. Like a good friend of mine at work, he was just walking around the office, and he had a Slapshot tattoo. I go, was that a Slapshot tattoo? And he goes, you know them? And it was an icebreaker. And then we still hang out. And now he's my barber. So go figure.
Damn. Yeah, that's what's up. I mean, I guess that's one good thing about, I guess, tattoos and music culture kind of can bring people together in that way.
And I mean, we definitely know that if you can see over my shoulder here, Tattoo the Earth, we covered that last summer, and that was a festival that happened in 2000 that was resurrected for the end of last year. So we get to talk to some tattoo artists, and it's way more mainstream in 2022, 2023 than it was in 2000. So it's a good way to break the ice. Anthony and I were probably the only two people there without tattoos at that festival last summer.
Honestly, there was like 4,000 people. I think we could have been the only ones.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Still,
yeah.
What's the reason for that? Just
not anti, just never happened. My wife has
crazy.
3 of them.
I'm envious of that because I mean we're like covered in shit, but it's it's like kind of like punk now to like not have any. It's
That's
like
what we were
exactly.
told. Yeah,
That's what.
I'm like highly jealous of people without it because it's like you fell for the trap if you're like covered in it, but it's whatever.
Actually, the gauged ears too. I never fell for that.
Oh yeah, thank God. Yeah, that's next.
I tried, but my mom said no.
While you're watching Headbangers Ball.
Well, it's crazy. We already got like regular piercings, and like this shit stinks already, like as it is. So like a gauge, what is that gonna smell like? Oh.
Get caught on shit and yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to the gauge wearers, but I mean, I don't know. I'm having a hygiene issue.
It's very 2012 to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you have them, I love you.
Shut.
So you guys met in the St. George area then?
Yeah, Southern Utah, and that's where we started. Nevermind, 2016. Just meeting at the coffee shop and kind of going to our local shows and hanging out there more and kind of saying, hey, let's jam, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't really take him seriously because he was all like hardcore guy. Like, I mean, he's kind of terrifying looking. Like, I was like, sure, man, whatever. And like, I'm like this soft, pop punky singer-songwriter-y kind of a guy. And, but that was kind of the beauty for Nevermind is just kind of like that dynamic of hardcore and kind of like alternative rock, emo boy world that I came from.
What was the icebreaker then? Like, what was the actual conversation? Like, hey, you want to start a band, or what was it?
He knows the story, so he always says it better. I'm like, I try to like make this like beautiful, awesome story, but I don't even truly know.
Maybe I'm thinking of a wrong conversation, but I think you were just like being nice and complimenting me. And you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, is he gonna stay away from my girl or something?
It was a defense mechanism. So he'd like come in and I'd be like, hey, handsome, like looking good.
Like, oh, you're getting a Java chip?
Yeah, he used to get like frappuccinos, like the big, like with whipped cream and drizzle. We've changed our ways since, but I mean,
yeah, he turned me into a man because since coffee is like gendered.
Well, you were like, all right, I like your drink of choice. Let's start a band. I mean, was that
yeah,
it?
that works.
He made fun of me for getting a Java chip. I almost had to like order it and quiet so no one could hear the other best.
I was like a pretentious barista guy. I was like, it was what's crazy. It was always like the macho football players and stuff. They'd always get like, oh, Java chip, like caramel frap, like the big like extra whip, and then it'd be like the cutest like girls ever, like just a black coffee, like.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, like,
give me that dark roast. Give me that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a weird dynamic here, but I mean,
babe, go in and order my Java chip.
Yeah, right. I can't go in there again. I can't do that myself. Yeah.
But that's how we met is through the coffee shop and just kind of him kind of cool guying, being like, I'm in some bands in Salt Lake. I play hardcore, and I'm like, and me never really listening to hardcore. I was like, cool. And we seen each other at a couple of local shows, and we were like, let's hang out, let's try jamming. And
we met our other bass player that we used to have, one of our better old members at that coffee shop too. He was just walking by, and we've seen him before. We used to practice at the studio, and there was like where they would record, and there was a window, and you could rent it out to practice for like 2 hours a night. So we did that like multiple times a week. And this kid was out there playing Yu-Gi-Oh or something with his buddies, some card game.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. And he kept like looking at us through the window. And then we saw him. I was like he was walking by. I'm like, this guy looks like he plays bass, like kind of making fun of him. I was like, should we ask him if he does?
He does now. If he didn't, he does now.
Yeah.
As soon as he was like heading out the door, we were like, hey, you play bass? It was very cheesy movie, but it worked out perfectly. I mean, he's not in the band anymore. We've had a few member changes, just because we've grown up and moved on, and people have done their own things with their life. But right now, we've got a couple solid members, which have just been kind of like friends of ours in the music scene in the Salt Lake area. Like he's in a band with our bass player, a hardcore band. That's where we kind of got him. And our guitar player, we got him just from playing shows. He was like in some pop punk bands, and we kind of just asked him to hop on board with us. So,
I mean, you guys obviously have a ton of different musical influences then. And clearly, if you listen to the music, we've been deep diving it, but anybody who hasn't checked them out, go check them out, and you'll hear there's Cure guitar sounds, there's hardcore, there's all over the map. 90s is Smashing Pumpkins, is Shoegaze. It melds really well. You guys do a good job with that. But what were some of the bands you were listening to growing up that kind of pushed you that way?
You just saw The Cure like 3 nights ago.
Yeah, I actually just saw The Cure live.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, at the is it the Vivint Arena?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Salt Lake City. It's like the quadruple decker, like just sea of people. And that was unreal, man. That was awesome. So Robert still got the pipes for the age.
We're missing Nate, our third host tonight, but he saw them in LA, maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that, and it said it was amazing. I'm super jealous.
Bucket list shit for sure for me. But as far as influences go,
I grew up, my dad got me into music, so I like all the dad rock. Def Leppard's probably one of my all-time favorites.
Wow, we're in good company.
Yeah.
I have a Def Leppard gold record about 10 feet from me that my dad gave me.
That's crazy.
Wait, which record is it?
Hysteria.
Pyromania is probably my fave, but Hysteria is probably next in line.
Are you an X guy?
I don't know what X guy is.
That's when they went boy band. That's in the early 2000s.
I like I don't know.
All of it, but
I don't know like names of people or like I was in their top 0.05 listeners, but I can tell any of their names.
Wow. I think I've told this story in the podcast, but I was backstage, kind of backstage. It was like these radio tickets that my buddy, who Rob has been on with us before, he's a DJ for U2 in Boston, and Joe Elliott backstage from Def Leppard in this same room. And I was like, holy shit. That's rock royalty right there. I got a grainy picture of him somewhere I got to pull up.
That's the thing. I know.
All I know is Pour Some Sugar on Me and that the drummer has one arm.
All I know
yeah. You are correct.
No, they've got some bangers, especially off those two albums, Pyromania.
Yeah, I like a lot of Disturbed, Godsmack, Tool, shit like that.
Nice.
Definitely the dad rock shit.
Yeah, the construction shit.
Huge Tool fan here. I'm looking to try to get tickets that come through our area, like November maybe, something like that. Sometime this fall.
Yeah.
As far as influences for me, I'm originally from Hawaii, so like music out there is just like reggae and kind of rap music. But like one of my first records I got into, which was like different, which I'm surprisingly wearing the shirt right now. It's a Tom Tom Club record. My dad like had it in his like Honda Civic, whatever it was, and I just like put it in. And I mean, take what you will for Tom Tom Club, but it was just so different, and I loved it. And I think that just kind of led me down like a path of loving like different shit. But it was up until like 4th grade I started to listen to my own like kind of style of music. I moved to Idaho. That's where I grew up. My mom lives there. And that's when I discovered MTV, and which is so like late to the game, like 4th grade. I'm 27 now. So I remember seeing like Fall Out Boy and like My Chemical Romance, Helena, like on the TV. So this was like my first true like anything different. So I'm late to the game of like only barely now I'm listening to like Nirvana records and like Metallica records, like Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, like shit people like had t-shirts and shit of in elementary school. I was just barely getting into like, because I just found this whole new world of like rock music. But that and like alternative like stuff, pop punk and dad stuff. I love Disturbed and like Creed and all that stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
No shame. I mean, there's no like cringe here. That's kind of like what's been a driving force for Nevermind. Part of the writing. It's like nothing is like ever cringe. If you ever think something's cringe, like you're just stuck up your nose and like
Wow. You're
kind of
speaking
like,
to us. You're in good company then.
Yeah,
With
you're
us.
ruining what like potential like you truly could have.
Some of the most memorable parts are like what a lot of people go, oh, that's bad as you're writing it. Like, imagine if we were writing some like Disturbed and going like, nah.
Yeah.
Like everyone would be like, nah, we're not fucking doing that. Well, why not?
And that's
Let's
kind
do
of
something
we've
weird.
we've been ridiculed like by lots of listeners and even people within our band, like just like, oh, like this, that, like we're not as like extreme as Disturbed, but I mean there's little subtle things that we've done that like
Riffs even.
turns people off because they want to be like cool guy about shit. No, just do exactly. We have nothing to fucking lose, and like if we love something, you just do it. And if people don't like it, then who cares?
So with that mentality, and that mentality and all those influences, you guys, there's obviously a first practice, first rehearsal. Is there like a mantra going into that of like, this is what we want to go for? Or you just jam out and see what comes out of it?
I feel like there wasn't a change so many times.
Well, how we kind of go about kind of jamming together is I'll kind of like structure the base of everything, guitar, vocals, all that good stuff. And then we'll come in and practice and we're kind of just adding to the soup at that point. But the main thing is just keeping an open mind. And if you want to shoot something down, like for the song, it kind of a rule for us is you have to like immediately back it up with something yourself just to keep the momentum going. Cause just to have that like mindset of like, oh, this is cringy or this fucking sucks. Like that's not going to really get you anywhere. And the song will never progress. So, I mean, that's kind of been how we've operated is just kind of keep the flow going.
That makes sense just because you may not, the first piece of it may not be where you end up, but you got to have the first piece to get to that second piece and maybe flesh something out. And there's no bad ideas. And we are fully on board with there's nothing cringe. Like there's no guilty pleasure. You like something, cool. If you don't, that's fine. There's plenty out there for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. We were at a moment where I feel like probably our highest moment with Thermal Memory, which is like 2 records ago. It was right before COVID when we put it out, and we were jamming like 4 nights a week. We had a jam spot, this cool wooden room with like these 70 style like wooden walls and chalkboard, and you could jam there overnight. So we'd show up late and just we were so like polished, and
yeah,
it felt like we were like gonna be rockers.
Like rockers. And I mean, we say that because I mean, we were like booking some of the craziest shows we've ever played. We actually, like, speaking of dad shit, like we played with Puddle of Mud, like a sold out show with Puddle of Mud.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
we were hopping on gigs like that, and then COVID just happened and just took it all away. And so now we've just kind of been rebuilding from that. And our record that came after that, With a Rotting Heart, was very like it was just a fuck it, nothing matters, the world is over. Let's just kind of get together and put something out. And so, I mean, in a way, like that kind of has swayed some listeners of ours kind of away from us, I would say, just because it kind of was like more punky approach, kind of DIY, a little more rough, as opposed to Thermal Memory. We really like clean cut. This is going to be perfect. We're going to be the biggest band in the world.
I'm playing shows and playing drums in a black fucking turtleneck.
But that album, With a Rotting Heart, you know, regardless of the punk mentality and it not doing so well, there are some diehard listeners of ours that like straight up like say it's their favorite shit. So I mean, it wasn't all for naught, and I'm glad we did it. And like since that, it's been pretty up in the air and confusing what we wanted to do, and it's led to our latest EP, Burning Halos, which we kind of just we're still riding that fuck it wave, but let's kind of come back a little bit.
Yeah. It's almost like you guys have my notes sitting here because that was a question we had for you was you put out Thermal Memory early 2020, not knowing obviously 6 weeks or whatever later, nobody's going to be able to do anything. Yeah. And then you jump right back in the studio and make With a Rotting Heart. And I can hear the fuck itness of With a Rotting Heart. I fucking love that record. I love Callous. I love Swan Song. It's just so there's emotion there, and I get it. Like more especially raw. At that time, like we were living in that. Like there's nothing else to do. Here it is.
Yeah, and it wasn't as like with Thermal Memory. We took like a year and something writing that, like freaking ourselves out, like writing tempos on this board and like making it crazy. And with Rotting Heart, we were just like, yeah, send Stino, just send the song in the chat. Oh, let's listen to it. Yeah, I'll probably do this.
Well, it was sort of a resurrection. I don't know where it came from because, I mean, I was to the point personally where I was like, this is it. Nevermind is going to cease to exist. Thermal Memory was great. COVID exists now. That's it. We had our run. And it was just a moment of like some random, I don't even know. It was just in the summer. I was just like, just started texting him. I was like, we're going to fucking do this. Let's do this. I've got a batch of songs. Let's hit it. And I mean, for you guys, it's like, what are you going to say? You know, just like, no, like we either do this or just kind of fade away. So, I mean, as weird and as raw and as, you know, whatever people want to say about it, it definitely was necessary to kind of the progression to where we are now.
Well, it's funny with the Rotting Heart. I think sonically, I don't feel that it was just kind of thrown out there, but lyrically, like Tony just mentioned, Callous, the gang vocals at the end where it's like, I want to feel something real before
So
I die.
good.
If this doesn't work, well, I'll be surprised. Go back to 9 to 5. Like,
Exactly.
I know where you're at. Like, you know, you feel it.
Well, and with the Rotting Heart, just that whole like saying is a lyric and theme throughout that whole album, man.
Exactly.
It was kind of it was a weird, I don't know. It was a weird fuck you to kind of my mentality at the time, of my dying mentality of like, or like the band dying mentality. It was just, I was just kind of riding that wave, and it's very, I don't know. It's kind of crybaby, but I mean, it's how we were feeling at the time.
It was crazy because like Austin's an emotional guy.
The pop punk barista? Are you talking about?
Yeah. Like him being kind of up and down. It's not like they're fast up and down, but like, oh, like we gotta do this, or just like, fuck it, this is done. Yeah. But we're not always linking up. So some like when Poe's gone, he's like, fuck it, this is done. And then I'm in love with these songs. They feel like people. These songs feel like I can't do with never playing these again. I'm just like, how can I get him to feel that way? And then he's feeling that way, and then maybe I'm not. It's just been a lot of me and him, like.
Well, and we should mention also, Mickey and I are like the OG members from the beginning. Like,
yep.
We're always going to change forever, but I mean, as long as it's him and I, like, Nevermind will continue to go.
Nice.
We got a good setup right now,
for sure. Like,
can we talk the name? How'd the name come? Like, what made you pick that?
So, in like other interviews, I've said like it may or may not have come from Nirvana, but I think just straight up, it probably is. I mean, when I was getting into writing like this kind of alternative emo music, I was like collecting records at the time, and Nevermind was one of the records I picked up, and I remember just writing it out like on paper, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I wasn't even thinking of it in like, it's cool because it's like Nirvana cool. It's like its own thing. And when we got together and started playing, it's just a name that stuck with me. I was like, maybe we should ride with this. And at the time, we weren't even thinking like Nirvana. We were just like, it's its own thing. It's cool. It's like not.
What if people think it's Nirvana, or like, nah, fuck that, no.
What's crazy is people definitely thought that. They still do. And but for the first couple of years, we did the full name, Nevermind. And you know, you started to see like H&M have like Nevermind hats, and like, and I was like,
promoting you guys.
yeah, exactly. I was like, they're stealing our merch. Like, we got to do something different. So I mean, just abbreviating it a little bit, NVM. So if you ever hear us say like NVM or we're Nevermind, like there's no right and wrong. It's all the same shit. And that's kind of what we've been.
Which makes it kind of hard for people to find us sometimes. But
yeah. Yep. I mean that. We've said this numerous times on here with different bands, podcasts, whatever. You're tied to a name. You don't realize you're tied to it until it's there and you've put stuff out under it and you're like, ooh, do we change it? Like, oh shit, this is where we are.
That ship sailed, you know, we can't change it, you know?
Yeah, our mindset was very punky at the time. We were just like, let's play shows, like shitty shows to like just a few local kids and write some songs. And even our first like 2 EPs are like horribly like recorded. And we never like thought it would like get to this point.
But the first EP we put out, we recorded just live, straight up, all of us playing together.
Second EP, our first EP, we actually did in like some computer, some computer room, some room. It was like digitized drums and like fake guitar tones and stuff.
Wow.
Was that the self-titled one, or is that Aquacross?
Self-titled Nevermind.
Self-titled one. Okay.
Keep in mind, we're just like learning this whole like time. And like, that's why like Aquacross, when we record that, Aquacross, I kind of look at it like it's the with the rotting part to Thermal Memory. Because we kind of like, we were just like, what are we going to do now? Let's go into the studio. And we just, I don't even know what our process was, but we recorded that in 2 days, and it was a live recording. Like, just hit the red button and play it.
All of us at the same time. Yeah. This guy, he was cool, but
Wow.
he seemed like he did really want to be recording
Damn.
super nice LDS, dude. But yeah, just like live, and we play the song over and over, and then be like, was it too fast? Like, I think it was too fast. No, it wasn't. We didn't want to take up any more time. So we had 2 days, but it was super exciting. We were looking at it like excited kids, like all sleeping, like let's all have a sleepover the night before. And then wake up early and get breakfast and have another sleepover.
And we're serious. We're like, this is it.
Get that Java chip, you know.
And we're just like, the emotions were like fucking on fire. We're like, and in a weird way, I miss those days. Like, we're all like clean cut now, and like we have to make sure we spend like a decent budget on recording. We have to make sure like we're playlisting our shit right and putting it out and being like on top of shit. But you know, those days when shit was rough and things sounded like shit and the shows were shittier, like there's a weird like happiness that I don't think I could ever get back.
You can't. And I know exactly the feeling you're talking about, because
all day
we did that with this. I mean, we started doing this at the beginning of the pandemic. I think the day the world shut down, I went to Anthony's house. We threw the microphones on, we threw Zoom on, and had Nate call in, and we just recorded 45 minutes of nonsense. Like, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Like, I kept doing this with the mic, and like, you can hear it. It's still out there if anybody wants to listen to it. It's episode 1.
Check that shit out.
Don't do it. It's like, it is literally a basement demo.
Yeah.
But like, there's go ahead.
It felt like, oh man, we're doing something cool. Like, we've never done this before. And then we started to like kind of catch our rhythm a little bit. And then we started asking people to come on, and they started saying yes. It's like, oh, we got to take this a little more seriously. Like, we need to make it sound good.
Right.
Exactly. And I feel like now, where we are now as a band, I view it like when you look at like a baby picture of yourself and you're like, I got to make them proud, you know? Like, we're kind of in the position now where we have like a pretty awesome like listener base, and we've grown like more than I ever thought we could. And, you know, I feel like I got to just keep maintaining, I guess, this magic.
Well, I will say, like, the name, I think by you guys using the letters instead of spelling it out, I'm not immediately associating it with Nirvana. I'm not. I didn't.
Yeah, me either. Yep.
I think there's, you know, you mentioned like Lamb of God, and like when you hear those names, you know what the music's going to sound like. You do. Sure. With you guys, you don't. And if it actually fits. So kudos to you guys. Don't change the name.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you say that. And I mean, we've had those discussions on name changes, but I mean, just abbreviating it, I think, was enough for us to.
We did it pretty early on too, before Thermal Memory, which is when we started getting playlisted. All these listeners, and we're freaking out. Crazy. We went through a lot of phases. We went through like our first phase was like folded beanie phase, and then we went through like a leather phase, like rocker, like, and then now we're just in our true normal like phase, like we work and let's just play the music with what we got.
We're like married men now, so I'm not trying to like keep up on my physique as much and be sexy. I'm trying to like get some comfort.
Oh, you're speaking to me.
Yeah, that gets harder too. Yeah, as you get a little older.
But in a way, I feel like I'd love the listener base if aesthetics is what they care about to, I don't know, take something from us that it's like it's cool to like, if you're a fucking like blue collar guy, like, and that's your style, and you wear fucking orange hats and you fucking love guns and hunting, and like camo hats and flannel.
Hey, we're from Maine. I mean,
exactly.
You're speaking to the right crowd.
Yeah. I mean, the folded beanie days and rocker leather jacket shit.
That was fun.
It was fun, but
it was very childish, dreamy. Like, this is embarrassing to say, but it's funny. We can make fun of ourselves. When we saw that bass player Ian walking by, we were like sitting there practicing our autographs next to each other. Like, well, what if I do a star and
That's amazing.
I do a star here and the W goes like crazy.
Which that's still his signature to this day. I mean,
well, and you're figuring it out, right? I mean, you just don't know, so you're trying to have all your bases covered. You're trying to figure out what you're gonna be if somebody asks you for your autograph or somebody says, "Hey, take a picture with me." Like,
we did sign a lot of stuff for a lot of drunk people at Puddle and Mud.
Nice. Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I thought we were famous.
There was a couple moms that have my Steno signature.
The signatures. The signature. There you go.
But what's crazy about all this is, like, I've been like a dreamer, like fucking to be a rock star, to make music, all this shit, and since I was young, and since I found My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and watching MTV and all that shit, that was like, I knew that's what I wanted to do. You know, we may not be like the hugest band ever on earth, but it's the little things. We've accomplished so many things, and I truly have lived like that rock star dream of mine.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it is.
I just gotta be straight up. I mean,
Mickey didn't know that until this conversation.
We're just fans of music.
Well, and I mean, you can tell that you're fans of music by listening to your music, because there's so many different things. You could grab a song and it could be completely different when the next song hits. I mean, take the EP, Burning Halos, right? You have Wonderbar right into Two Tone Marionette. Those are two completely different songs, but they're both fucking amazing. I love the dichotomy that you get there with what you guys do, and the sound being, you know, fluid. It's not going to stay in one place.
Exactly. And that's what comes from just being an advocate for music and not trying to like gatekeep shit or be cool guy about things. Just, you don't set that limitation on yourself. You want to do like an 80s sounding thing that sounds like The Cure. You want to do like some Disturbed dad shit. I mean, there's really no limit.
Sometimes both on the same song, right? I mean,
exactly, in the same song. And I mean, in a way, that's fucking kudos to anybody who can like kind of genre bend that kind of shit.
So, Mickey, drummer, singing, screaming. I mean, for you, it's screaming. So, like, how you're in like limited company. So, like, when you pitch that to Steno, is he like, nah, or is he like, I'm in?
What part? The screaming?
The screaming, just in general. Drummer screaming. It's rare.
It's kind of.
I pitch all that shit to him.
He pitches it to me. He'll be like,
it's the other way around.
For you here. Like, this would be sick if you scream this.
Well, I used to be we both used to do like the screaming in the first two EPs. And I kind of like sailed away from that kind of shit just because it's to focus purely on the singing aspect. Because it was tough to kind of like do both.
Especially live, right? I mean, shit.
Yeah,
to have to go back and forth. Oof.
Wonderbar, I sing almost that whole song, but live, I don't think I could ever do that.
Really? You sing that? Wow.
Yeah. I wrote that song, and I sing it just fine. But I was just like, Mickey has like this deep fucking like voice. I kind of wanted to.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to get on the mic. This was kind of a first for him, like a full kind of a singing song.
It made me very nervous too, because singing is like very vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of crazy. Like, I don't know.
I was behind him in the booth, just like every like line he would sing, he'd look back at me, and I'd be like,
nice.
Nah, we got to do it like this, and then he'd do it, sing it, and then I'd be like, yeah, that's good.
Well, that's a highlight on the EP. I think that song is. It could have come out 40 years ago. It could have come out yesterday. Like, it fits anywhere. It's a very cool song.
I'm stoked on that song. And what's crazy about that is I don't mean to sound weird or pretentious, and this never happens for me, but I straight up wrote that song in like just 10 minutes, just in my head. I was sitting there at work,
awesome.
About to like mop the floor or something, and it just like everything, like just lyrics to like melodies, just was all in my head. And so yeah, just fun fact.
Well, you all crushed it, I would say, Mickey especially, man. I don't think I knew that it sounded different enough, but didn't know that it was you singing. That's awesome.
In Wild Horses, I sing 2 verses also, and that's actually one song I wrote because I have like my solo thing that I do, kind of gothy. I just made it on my phone, GarageBand. It's on Spotify under Mickey Wild, but Austin was like, I think we should make that song an NVM song, and then he put guitar to it and flare, and then that's like a rarity because usually it's Austin making the bulk. So that was a fun
Oh,
one.
wow. Nice.
So this EP was I was very open to like just a couple different things, and it was kind of
I've always done all the drums myself, but for him to open up and like let's do something you mainly did is like different.
rad, and I think it worked out quite all right.
Hell yeah. That song's also great. I mean, there's no real misses on the 5-song EP. It's from start to finish, just kind of comes at you and brings you different places, but also, you know, it sounds like you guys. And I could tell you when you're saying that, like, you're kind of coming back to the, you know, there's a little more production,
Exactly.
caring a little bit more about some placement of things, and you can hear it there, but it's also still like it's a logical progression from where you were before.
And I'm glad you say that because that's exactly what we want. Because we were staying afloat with a rotting heart, but not in a way that I was like truly happy with. And now it's much better. I'm in a much better mindset as far as like, yeah, I'm happy with how things are, how we're represented with Burning Halos. I'm excited to see what the fuck else we come out with now. Like you just got to keep the mantra now is just keep topping what we do and be better, because after every release, I'm always like hyper critical and like, I'm like, fuck, I wish we did it like this. I wish we didn't do this.
Can I ask you a question? Does that criticality like reduce over time, or are you still like when Burning Halos comes out, are you still as critical as you were for like the first EP or Aquacross?
I'd say I've moved away a little bit from kind of the hypercriticalness because I think I was like Thermal Memory was that huge thing for us. And then with the Rotting Heart, some would say kind of just butchered. It was like the sophomore slump.
No way. They're full of shit, man.
Some would say that.
Yeah.
And I've been led to
I kind of would say that.
I've been led to feel that way. And the only thing that's like kept me positive about it is to hear people like so stoked, and people have gotten like tattoos and shit of that record. And I'm just like, holy shit, like it wasn't all for naught. But I've been away from hypercritical shit and you're just always trying to be better. What's crazy is like, no matter how I feel about what record, I'm proud of all of them. Even our EPs, like I've framed, like we've been lucky to have our records pressed on vinyl, and I've gotten them framed and put them on the wall, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like stoked. I'm like very proud of this stuff. I mean, no matter what anybody thinks, it's a time in my life. It's rad to see. It's a time in many other people's lives too.
Well, 2 of those are coming my way. I think I ordered them earlier today. So
Yeah.
yeah. And honestly, when we were talking about how we wanted to like have you guys on and put this together, I told Anthony and Nate in our group text, hey, I think With the Rotting Heart's my favorite of the 3. And I like all of it, but that's the one I've come back to because I love Callous and I love Swan Song, and it hit me the most, I guess.
That's crazy. What's crazy is I think like, I don't know if it's a thing with music now, but like when shit gets like newly released, that's like the prime time for it to get shit on. But like,
totally.
As it like lives and it like does its thing, it's like, and especially when you're looking back at things, you're like, holy shit, like that actually was sick as fuck. Like that was awesome, you know. But as things are fresh, people are just so stuck on what you've done before or right before. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
if it doesn't immediately like excite them, then it's like a crapshoot.
One, and if you try something different and they're like, well, why don't you sound like you used to sound? I liked the last thing. Do the last thing again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. No, we want to try something different.
I've seen a couple like people message us about shit like that, but you know, whatever. That ship sailed. And I mean, Burning Halos is out now, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of happy with how we're progressing, because at the end of the day, for us, it's just a matter of learning. Like we learned that Thermal Memory, like thousands and thousands of dollars, like will make you this pristine record, and it's amazing. And then you can go DIY with shit and punky, and you can flop. And then what do you go from there? You kind of infuse the two. I'd say Burning Halos, we kind of had a mixture of those approaches. Mm-hmm. And I think even moving on from that, just taking that mindset and kind of, I don't know, Defining it, yeah, just defining
It was fun to record Burning Halos too. We stayed in a tent together, me and him, the whole time, the whole week.
You said a tent?
Yeah, like
Oh,
camp.
Nice.
Camped outside of the guy's house, but
That's a first.
That's
It's a first for us. We've talked to 80 artists. No one's ever stayed in a tent while they were making the record, so that's pretty cool.
We camped right in the front yard. He has a Tacoma with like the flip up tent that's on the back.
yeah.
And we just slept in there every night. And we slept one night like down like a couple miles away in the middle of the woods. And we heard shit, we saw shit, and
Yep.
we were like,
that we will never speak of.
we'll never speak of.
Well, it's funny. We hear stories about like during the recording phase, like you can't escape your bandmates. You know, you're staying in. I mean, a lot of studios have like a place where the band can, you know, put up or whatever. But camping, you really
In a
can't
tent?
escape.
Yeah, you're
you
not getting
can't
away.
escape your band.
Yeah. It's funny.
Roll
We did
over
have,
and you're right there.
me and him had one silly argument one night after his show, and in my head, I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta get in a tent with this guy." And
Well, like
we hugged it
it
out.
was bad. Like we went back to the house. I was like crying my eyes out, and he like was like holding me and shit. I was like having a breakdown. I don't even know what it was. But
It was over a fucking fog machine, but I'm sure it was deeper than that.
no, I was going through some shit at the time, and that shit just triggered it. But it's moments like that fucking seal the deal with recording and stuff, you know? Because I don't know.
It's not supposed to be easy, right? You're making something not if it's gonna be good. I don't think anyway. Yeah, it's not supposed to be easy.
And you're harnessing to be into the music, you know? And those emotions aren't just being recorded into a microphone; they're like living as you're speaking them. And yeah, so I mean, whatever. We have our emotional times. We have our fights, and I mean, it's never a true recording session if we aren't fucking fighting. Him and I.
I will say this. I'm looking at all your artwork, like for the EPs and full lengths. And I know what you guys sound like because I've listened to you, but if I was just a fan of music and I saw your covers, you don't steer the listener in any direction, which I love. There's an intrigue there. Like with A Rotting Heart, I'm like,
That's the cabin we stayed at.
I don't know what to expect. Like Burning Halos, I really don't know what to expect.
Right. And I mean,
yeah, Burning Halos is funny because we were thinking, let's do 3 hot rocker girls that represent us, bandmates. And you're this girl. Let's have this guy painted. I'm thinking my dad is going to think it's awesome.
because it's kind of
old rocker
like a
guy.
nod to
Yeah.
old hand drawn
Totally. Yep.
rock artwork.
And I showed him, and yeah, he just said some stuff.
But
He hated it for the record. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a chance too, right? You're doing something different again, and that's kind of cool because it feels like something that might have come out 40 years ago in the
Sure.
art, but at the same time, it looks new.
Mhm. Yeah, no, we're stoked on that. And it's one of those things where we were just like, we were saying, fuck it. We're doing exactly what makes us happy, but in this like awesome and like cool way. I've seen a couple things on the internet of people who are like, hate the fucking artwork, but love the album or whatever, love the EP. And I'm like, whoa, it's not that bad. I mean, it just comes out.
I love the artwork.
Yeah.
It goes with the motorcycle in the beginning.
Totally. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
the hot girl's voice in the Supernatural, it's rock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
dude.
we're those same cool emo rocker guys that like having film pictures for album covers. But it's just like this was a thing that's different and we love and it's genuine to us. And I mean, I hope it doesn't sway people in a certain direction where they just like absolutely hate it. Like, we'll never listen to this band again. Just because, I mean, then you're judging your book by its cover at that point, I guess.
I like it. I like what you guys are trying to do. You're not swaying anybody in one way or the other. It fits the music, but you have to listen to the music to find out if it fits or not. Like, it's not just I know what that's going to sound like. Because if you look at any of them, Thermal Memory, With a Rotting Heart, the Burning Halos EP, they all are different and they all fit the record, but you don't know that until you listen.
Exactly. And that makes me stoked just kind of for what's next for us. Like, what could that be? It could totally be like in the complete opposite direction of what we just released, you know? Not only aesthetically, but like musically even, you know, like it's just continuously evolving. Whatever we think is right in this very moment.
Well, I think there's something for everyone.
Sure.
Like I know you guys just opened that Drain MS Paint show, and I saw the video on YouTube. 197 Productions put out that video. Did you guys meet Post Malone in that show?
I did. I saw him.
Nice.
He was like walking by. I was like chilling like by this like brick walls, and he's just like walking by, and I see like the person I was standing next to like just completely like jaw dropped. I was like, what the fuck? I like turned to my right, and I was like, Post Malone.
It's funny. He said that in the mic too.
I was
Before
like,
a guitar solo.
Awesome.
I was like, Post Malone, and he like stopped. He's like, what's up, dude? How are you?
Nice.
And he just kept walking. But after that, I didn't care to get a picture. I didn't want to be that guy. There was so many people like bombarding him at that gig, but
It was crazy.
at the gig, what's crazy is, and he didn't even like stick around to like, he was hanging out with people, but like our whole set, I couldn't help but like look up. He's standing on the roof watching our whole fucking set. And I was just like,
so
oh.
cool, dude.
I was like, Post Malone. And he's just like bobbing his head, like
Yeah.
vibing. I was like, you know, fuck a picture. Like, who can say like Post Malone is like just jamming to like your music? So, I mean, that's definitely like a random bucket list. Awesome.
I guess there's a clip from The Office because I said something similar, and he's like, "Did you see that on The Office?" But like, I've entertained the guy who's entertained a million.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. True.
Which
It's
is
true.
crazy. My other band, Mask, played that Drain show, also the hardcore band, which our bassist is in that band as well. It's just crazy to play like mixed bills like that, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, you put us next to like just a hardcore like lineup, we're gonna look like the softest fucking. But what's weird is we've been in like positions of like a pop punk show where we look like the weird heavy fucking guys, like, and it's just we never like fit into like a specific mold, which in a way it's a good thing for us because we played like all kinds of shows. Like we played with Neck Deep, like I said, Puddle of Mud, and now this Drain show. So like to be kind of a chameleon in that way, I'm honored.
Well, you can fit anywhere, which is a good thing too, because people can hear you in a bunch of different places. So getting to play with all those bands, and you make friends. And the music industry is big, but it's also not that big, which is it's a good thing to just have Post Malone vibe into your shit. You know, that's not a bad thing at all.
I couldn't stop looking up at him either. I'm like, people probably are seeing me keep looking at him.
We love Post. We do.
We're fans. Yep.
He's a super genuine guy. He's got like fucking star power, like it's nobody's business. And like as soon as he walked into that place, everybody was fucking chicken neck.
Well, and he's gone the like popular hip hop ish route, but during the pandemic, he did that Nirvana like set, that rock set. I mean, he could go a bunch of different ways too if he wanted to, just because he's a talented dude. So
exactly, and you see him wearing like all of these bands' shirts, like at some of his shows, and you're like, damn, this guy's a real one. You know?
Yeah, I'm like, is Beyonce taking pictures with Speed, the band Speed? I don't think so. Or I saw photos with him and Drain. Like that's
yeah.
You can't fake that.
Yeah, no, and
you can, but you can tell. That's the thing,
right? You can tell
the vibe, and I'm honored to have been a part of that. I mean, it was just surreal. Just that whole stage, we built that whole morning. We went with a crew of about 20 something odd people and
all my best buddies, and set that up in like an hour and a half, 2 hours with some scaffold. And then after the show, it was crazy. Just downtown Salt Lake, these apartment buildings all surrounding it. And it went to like almost 11 at night. So loud. And then we tore down the stage after. We're just all loud, throwing the plank in and shit. And
yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
it was a vibe. It was like, that was my like Woodstock Warped Tour for sure.
You guys have any more shows coming up? What's the deal right now for the band?
Right now, just a couple local gigs for Salt Lake City in the next couple months. I'm going to record in July for some solo music of mine. It's just like singer-songwritery kind of shit. But other than that, just slowly building up. We just put the record out on vinyl with Neon Bloodbath Records. Shout out to them for putting out that record for us. So we're just kind of pushing that and playing gigs. And, you know, we'd love, you know, to come out your guys' way out east.
Hell yeah. That'd be awesome.
Please do.
So much messages and shit to like come out that way, but it's like, yeah, you're just kind of like, yep, Santa Claus is real, son.
Yeah.
The reality,
the economics of it are.
yeah, the
Right.
reality. I don't know, man. I don't know if we'll ever be on that way. It's just we haven't had the opportunity of like the only like feasible way is like if we like were to support like a big act.
Yep.
Not saying it's impossible. We just have never gotten a message.
You guys and Sunsleeper, like, come on this way. Do it together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey,
And it's harder to just like, as we get older, to do what we were doing in the earlier days and just, oh, let's go on a 2-week tour and play for nobody, and then let's do it again. And then
yeah.
now it's like, oh, we got work and
Mm-hmm.
family, and I got my business and a kid on the way. And
Well, in that mindset of like, we want to make sure the punches like really count.
because
So
we
it's
still
like-
do.
Yeah.
We still travel out for anything.
Yeah, we still would love to do all of this. It's just it has to kind of matter now. We can't just be totally naive about shit.
So when Sino does the solo stuff and Mickey, you're doing like mask and takeover stuff, does the other person feel like, you know, they're cheating on NVM or what?
No.
No.
No. What's crazy is I genuinely can say no because this music that I write for my stuff, it's a whole another part of me that I love, like country-esque singer-songwriter type stuff. And what's crazy is when I write for Nevermind, it's so specific. It is so like in a different way, emotive. And even like you see Mickey like playing drums, like with this hardcore band, it's like seeing a totally different drummer. Obviously the music is different, but I kind of know like the dynamic of his and how he like acts within Nevermind.
Yeah, it feels like all my other hardcore projects, I've been in and out of like, I love playing it and it's so fun. And I mean, it's equally as fun, but the way NVM feels to me is like someone we've like raised together or like something we've like hammered and screwed together that's like so important. The other stuff is like, oh, this is so fucking fun, but also like, oh, we're not playing that. Okay, that's fine. Oh, we are, yeah. This is like,
Yeah.
just feels like
I would say for my shit too, like I have nothing to lose, you know, if nobody listens to it or if it sucks. But with Nevermind, I feel like I have something to lose, you know, like there's something there. Just because we've been at it for so long and you see the listener base and the messages we get and the people that come to the shows, like it's not just this silly thing that we thought it once was. It's like this real living, breathing thing. And we kind of got a cult following a little bit.
Yeah. A couple randos on the East Coast are like, hey, you want to talk to us for an hour? Let's go.
yeah, our fan base we have, a good chunk of them are like getting their NVM tattoos and just crazy about us, which is like, I don't know, it feels different than other bands I've been a part of that have a lot of listeners sometimes too.
It's just the context of the music too. It's very melodramatic and emotional and all this shit, but it's some of the truest shit that I have written. And I think people can relate to it and see it and they vibe with it.
We did. Yeah, we definitely did. Like I texted Tony tonight. I was like, hey, and we're like Spotify listener, like count geeks. And I think you guys have like 10,000. I'm like, the fact there's only 10,000 humans on this earth that have vibed these guys in the last month, like that's criminal. That's what I text.
What's crazy is like Spotify just does that shit to us. Like 1 month we'll have 50, 60,000 and then it'll drop down to 10 and it'll drop down to 8. And it's just like, at this point, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, just do your thing. As long as the track listener numbers are going, somebody's listening.
Well, and I say only, like you're probably in the top 1% of every band out there. Like, I mean, that's the reality.
Bands. Yeah.
It's just, you guys should be. That's why we want to interview. Like, everyone has to check you guys out. Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of like, we've always been the underdogs. And in a way, I fucking love that we always have been and still are. Because in a way, like when people find us, it's true as fuck. It's genuine and it's awesome. It's not like, oh, this band like is on this tour package and they're on this, they're this. It's like you saw us because somebody shared our music with you, or you came to like some local show because you had nothing better to do that day, you know?
We played some show a guy I used to be in some band with. And there was like 10 people there, but he's like, I feel like I just saw a band from like a stadium.
Amazing.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and you guys definitely put the care and the you can hear you guys talking about it. Like the other projects are cool, but this is the one that like I want to make sure is right. So it feels that way, and I think if you haven't checked these guys out and you're listening to us right now, you should be checking them out. So go listen to any or all of the stuff that is out there on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you get your stuff.
Yes, listen to him, please. What are you drinking?
So yeah, what should people do? Where should they check you out? What should they go listen to right now?
And they will. So choose wisely.
Sure. Anywhere you stream music, Spotify's the best. Apple Music for some. Listen to our newest release, Burning Halos. It's kind of an accurate representation of what we're doing right now, kind of our headspace, and it's a pocket of time for us that I'm happy to be in. I'm proud that we put that out. I'm stoked to play shows with it. It's some of like the funnest shit we played live. So I definitely, if you can come out to a local show, great. And if you're in a place that we're dreaming to visit someday, hopefully we get an opportunity to either tour with some bands to support or, just head out that way for whatever reason.
If you're in the Salt Lake City area, go check these guys out locally that way. And pretty stoked for you guys. Pretty stoked for this conversation. Happy to have been able to chop it up with you guys for an hour about Nevermind, NVM.
To be here. This was awesome. I'm feeling like genuinely good about this. I've done some other interviews where I'm just like, I personally am awkward. That's why I like wanted him.
No, you're not. Trust me.
Well, I feel
we've had plenty.
It's good to have him. He breaks the ice like pretty solidly. So
that's funny because I think that about you. So.
Oh,
baby.
All right, you guys, go sleep in your tent.
Share sleep. We share sleeping bag.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, we're happy that you guys had a good time chatting too, because we definitely did. And to be able to find you guys 3 weeks ago and then turn it into this conversation and, be able to kind of sing from the mountaintops for some people to check you guys out, please go do that.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us a shot and letting us be here. And we won't let you down. And I would love to be back, once we see some progress.
Some new stuff. We're going to write some stuff. After that Cure show, Austin came in and was like, I'm inspired.
I was going to say, he's inspired now.
We're going to do this. And I was like, stoked, because anything his mind is going to think related to that style of music is going to be great.
Robert Smith. Shout out, Robert.
Hell yeah, dude.
We're in. We'll keep an eye out for it. And thank you guys for coming on with us.
Yeah.
This was great.
You. The show. Stoked to see it.
Thank you for listening to Patio Slave. We are at Patio Slave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Patio Slave Podcast. YouTube, Patio Slave Podcast there. Email us at patioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.